Day 141 of 365 days of meditation. Um, was up this morning, meditated for about 45 minutes, and nothing too profound in the meditation, actually. I found that I was a little bit more at peace than I have been the last couple days. It was pretty chill. If I had to choose one word, I would choose chill to describe that practice. So yeah, not a lot to talk about in the meditation. I did have an interesting experience later on in the day. Met up with a few people from my neighborhood that I've sort of talked to in passing before, but had them over for a visit, and it was really interesting. You know, it turns out the one person had a lot of experience with obsessive compulsive disorder. They had suffered from it in their younger days as well, which is interesting because, you know, you talk about mental health and your experience, and sure enough, there's somebody else that has a very similar experience. And the more I talk about it, the more I hear these stories. Interestingly enough, they also have a family member, a young family member, 13 years old, who recently attempted suicide through overdose. And it just seems like I keep hearing more and more of these same types of stories of people who have had mental health struggles in the past or know somebody that's having mental health struggles right now. And I don't know what that is about. It just seems way more prevalent than I ever realized, which is sad a little bit, to be honest, that there's that many people out there that are struggling. I think there's a lot of good research being done in the field. I think there's a lot of things that people can do to help address the quote-unquote false anxiety that Dr. Ellen Vora talks about in her book, The Anatomy of Anxiety. Just the sort of things that we can take control of ourselves, like exercise and diet, and regulating our sleep-wake cycle, getting morning light, relaxation practices. That relaxation is a active, intentional practice. It's not something you do passively sitting on your phone or watching TV. How those things like sitting on your phone and watching TV late into the night can, spike cortisol, that blue light exposure, and make it harder to sleep and negatively impact your mood when you don't get good sleep, and et cetera, et cetera. Just all these things in our day-to-day lives that we are doing now in the modern world that human beings, prior to sort of the last 150 years, never had to grapple with, we're suddenly all having to deal with, and we don't know how to deal with them, and we don't even understand, the majority of us, how they're affecting our mental health and how they're impacting it. Sort of the conveniences of the modern world, so to speak. And that's not condemning these things, not to say they're bad. It's just that, I enjoy a lot of these things myself, but it's I don't know, there's some moderation, there's some modulation, there's some, timing considerations, there's some quantity considerations, there's a lot of considerations with aspects of our day-to-day life that I think we're overlooking, that are greatly negatively impacting a lot of people's mental health. And like I said, it's just sad to see, and I keep hearing more and more about it. It just seems to be more and more prevalent. And I would say from my own experience that, if you are seeking help in your mental health, as I always say, I would say if you're struggling with your mental health, talk to somebody. And with the caveat that, if you're going to enter the medical establishment, so to speak, or the mental health space that exists out there, to seek, potentially professional help, so to speak, with a counselor, there is some advocating for self that you need to consider. There's also the considerations that doesn't matter what the field is that you're seeking somebody's expertise in, there are varying degrees of quality in the practitioners in any field, in any space in life. Doesn't matter what it is, from carpenters to lawyers to doctors, and everything in between. There is people who have varying degrees of competency and varying degrees of passion for what they do. There are people who do the bare minimum, get the required, ticket or degree or license, and then do the bare minimum to maintain it. And there are others who immerse themselves in the latest research, who are passionate about what they do, who are always looking for ways to get better at what they do. And if you are seeking, some advice or some help with your mental health, I would highly suggest that, you go into it and listen to what anyone has to say. But if the advice you're receiving just doesn't feel like it's right for you, or you're a bit skeptical, don't feel bad. Don't let somebody strong arm you into something that you don't want to do. And, always seek a second, third, fourth opinion if you feel like you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. You do need to some degree to advocate for your own well-being when you enter sort of the mental health or the sort of medical establishment sphere. You definitely need to look out for yourself, because there are people out there, unfortunately, that are not necessarily as concerned with your best interests as probably they should be if they're practicing in that space, I would say. And there is a lot of very helpful and skillful and passionate and compassionate people out there that you may have the luck of interacting with and running into and receiving help from. But unfortunately, there's two sides of every coin, and there are people on the opposite end of that spectrum. So, like I said, I would never discourage you from talking to somebody or seeking help, but I guess that's the caveat. So, that's it for today. That's all I wanted to talk about. I think every time I have one of these conversations with somebody that is in my immediate, sphere, you hear the statistics about suicide rates and mental health being impacted and, big numbers being thrown around. But I find more impactful than anything else when I actually interact with somebody in my immediate space in the real world, have a conversation with them and find out, how their life or somebody's life that they know has been impacted by mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, some kind of psychosis, etc. Like I said, it breaks my heart, but it also sort of reminds me that putting out these videos is worthwhile, even if they just reach one person that they inspire or provide some hope to, or some encouragement to reach out and talk about their struggles rather than suffer in silence. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great day.